I'm back. Sorry it's been a while. But today we're talking about one of the greatest games ever created. Well, except this game. PvZ 1, 2, and Garden Warfare are timeless classics. And if I sat here and ranked every single plant in PvZ 2, we would be here all day. So I'm just gonna stick to the first game. I can't do them all. I'd be sitting here for like 5 hours. But I'm gonna rank every single plant based on their ability and how useful I think they are for the intended situation. I'm gonna factor other things in like sun costs, shit like that. But let's start with the good old reliable pea shooter. Now, of course, the pea shooter is most basic as it gets. At the beginning of the game, it's very helpful. But later on, it's kind of mid in my opinion. So I'm gonna put it in C tier. Now, for the sunflower, I gotta say S tier, all right? It is the best sun-producing plant in this game. In the second game, I like the twin sunflower better. That shit's a waste. You will literally save a fortune if you just place more sunflowers. You have to place it on top of an existing sunflower. So in the first game, I just feel like it's not worth it. Now for the cherry bomb, I would say it's okay. Like, it's not the greatest thing ever, only because the recharge time is so slow. But I just feel like there's better alternatives for it, so I'll put it in C tier. Now we got the walnut. I will say the walnut is very clutch. And later in the game, you get an ability where you could just place one on top of another one and it will completely heal it. It doesn't cost too much, and the recharge time, yeah, it's kind of slow, but I still like it. B tier. And of course, we cannot forget about walnut bowling. That game is goated. Next, we have the potato mine. I hate how it takes so long for this dude to stick his fucking head out of the ground. So the only complaint I have about this plant is, yeah, you have to place it very ahead of time. Blows up the zombies. It does its job. I'll give it C tier. It's okay. Now, as for the snow pea, I would say it's a very good plant. It slows down the zombies, so it's basically like the pea shooter, but better. So definitely going in A tier. Put this plant in my lineup pretty frequently. Next, we have the chomper. Now, what the chomper does, it just eats a zombie and just chews it for a long period of time. And when I say a long time, I mean a long-ass time. So we're gonna put this one probably in D tier, and I think it can only eat one zombie at once too. And by the time it's done, you know, I could probably have my whole life figured out, be in a happy marriage, have a family of 5. I don't know. So yeah, it's just not good. The repeater. All right, I'm putting this one in S tier, and it's basically the pea shooter, but well, it shoots double. The sun cost is crazy, but look, once you get it out there on the field, it will put in some work. So I would say it's definitely worth it. Out of the World 1 plants, yeah, this one's definitely the best. Now, World 2 is nighttime, and basically in this world, sun doesn't randomly spawn in. You have to use sun-producing plants. So they gave you another option, the sun shroom. Now I'm going to put this one in B tier because I just hate how it takes so long for it to grow. Once it grows, it is a very good plant. It doesn't cost as much as a sunflower. The puff shroom, I would say A tier. If you spam a lot of these, they cost 0 sun and the recharge time is very fast. The only downside to this plant is the range is very short. You need a shit ton of them if you really want to do damage. The fume shroom, I'm going to put in B tier. It shoots a fume cloud that can hit multiple zombies. It's a very good counter to the window screen zombie, but that shit actually pissed me off when I was playing the game. I don't know how many times I lost to one of those zombies and I just fucking chucked my DS across the room. The grave digger, I'm putting this John in D tier. Hear me out. You know what? Never mind. I'm putting this shit in F tier. It sucks. The whole point of this plant is it's supposed to get rid of graves, but it costs 75 sun. I don't know why it costs so much just for that. And then if a zombie eats at it as it's removing the grave, you wasted all your sun on nothing. In the first game, this plant is so bad, bro. I just can't put this in my lineup. It's like a waste of a spot. The hypno shroom, I gotta say, it's more like a last minute plant. You know, if you use it right, it could be very efficient. If you place it right at the end of the line, it will hypnotize the zombie and then it will go eat all the other zombies in the row. To me, that seems like it could be pretty clutch, but a lot of you might disagree. As a kid, and well, even playing the game now, I always liked this plant, so B tier. And now this next one is probably one of the worst plants in the game. I don't even know why the they added this shit. The Scaredy Shroom. This plant is just ass. I'm sorry. And anybody that plays the game, you can 100% agree with me on that. When the zombies pull up, it just cowers in fear and it just hides. You're supposed to be fighting for my boy Dave. You gotta protect the lawn. And even though the range is longer, I mean, it costs more sun and it probably does the same damage, so F tier. The Ice Shroom, B tier. It freezes all the zombies on screen, I think. I don't know for how much time. So it definitely helps, but the recharge time is just so fucking slow. So I feel like I could barely use it throughout the level. The Doom Shroom. I feel like this is the better version of the Cherry Bomb. Like, it still does the same damage, but I mean, the only downside is it just leaves a crater, so you can't place anything else there. And it just does a shit ton of damage and kills every zombie in a certain radius. The recharge time is also very slow on this one. I'll put it in A tier. Now, after that, you go on to World 3. And in World 3, there's a pool in the backyard. Crazy Dave, I think that's his name, for whatever reason, decided to install a pool. You cannot place the plants on water, so they gave you a lily pad. And of course, it is great for its intended purpose, but outside of Worlds 3 and 4, you can't use it, so I'm gonna put it in like C tier. The Squash. This is one of my favorite plants because, well, this dude just looks so menacing. I don't think anybody would want to mess with that. And he can squash like a short range of zombies, so if they're all in a group, he can get all of them. The recharge is a little slow, but you know, I gotta say it comes in clutch a lot, so this plant is going in S tier. One of my favorites of all time. The 3-peater. I'm putting this one in D tier. It costs way too much. Even though it shoots in 3 lanes, I feel like I'd just be better off placing a bunch of repeaters. That would save me like so much more sun. Because shit, some of these plants cost way too much. Like, I'm in a drought for sun sometimes when I'm playing this game. The Kelp, I'm gonna put it in D tier. I don't know, this shit's kind of ass. It can clutch up, but only in water. And this plant only takes 1 zombie out. Like, I would just take this plant with me if I had extra space, bro. But next we have the Jalapeno. Now this is going in S tier, no doubt. Obviously it has a very slow recharge, but still, it takes out the entire row. They're gonna be one of those big ass gym rat zombies in the row, and it would do a shit ton of damage to it. And for those of you that played the game, you know they are extremely hard to kill. Spikeweed, I would say probably C tier. I don't really see myself using this plant much, but there is a strategy in the game where it could be pretty good, where you basically just place walnuts behind it. But just in general, I don't really take this plant in my lineup, so I don't really think it's anything to write home about. But what's pretty good about it is zombies can't eat it at all. But unfortunately, it only does cover 1 tile on the map. The Torchwood, I gotta say A tier. If you use it right, this shit can be lethal. All you gotta do is basically just put it in front of a bunch of pea shooters, and then the peas will do double the damage. And when it catches fire, it also damages a bunch of nearby zombies. Now for the Tall Nut. S tier. This is the better walnut, I must say. I'm pretty sure it has more than double the health, and it cannot be vaulted or jumped over. So the pole vaulting zombies that I always hated too, they cannot mess with the Tall Nut. It's one of the best plants in the game, in my opinion. Now, after World 3, World 4 is pretty much World 3, but at night. So in this world, you're gonna get a bunch of additional plants that help you in the water. The Sea Shroom, I'm saying D tier. The recharge is slow as hell. Like, I don't know, I gotta fill those water lanes somehow. But the Sea Shroom is not helping. It's pretty much the worst version of the Puff Shroom. That shit solos any day. The Plantern. Yeah, I'm putting this shit in F tier. This shit's garbage. All it does is it gets rid of fog that appears in World 4. And once the zombies eat it, you can see the fog again. So I really don't see the point of using this. This plant is way better. The Bloover. This plant's going in B tier. It blows all the fog away and zombies that have like balloons. And the fog goes away for a pretty long period of time. So in my opinion, I would say it's pretty useful. A lot of people sleep on it, but trust me, it's a good plant. But next we have a not so good plant, the Cactus. Yeah, this John's going in D tier. This plant shoots slow as hell. I don't know, it's garbage. It should have just stayed in the drafts. The only redeeming point I guess I could give to the Cactus is that it counters balloon zombies. But other than that, that's really it. And I guess it has longer range, but I don't know, it's just not worth it in my opinion. If it did more damage, I would say maybe, but it's literally the same damage as a pea shooter. So I'm definitely passing on this one. This one's not going in the lineup. The Split Pea. This plant shoots 1 pea forward and 2 backwards. And I would say it's a pretty good counter to the zombie that digs underneath everything. You don't really come across it that much, but for the purpose it serves, B tier. And it costs like 125 sun, so that's not too bad. The Starfruit is going in S tier. I mean, this thing shoots in 5 directions. Who wouldn't want that? and it only costs 125. I mean, it doesn't exactly have the greatest accuracy ever. I mean, it pretty much just has that stormtrooper aim. But still though, 5 different directions, it could take out zombies in completely different rows. If you have like most of the yard filled with them, it's over. The pumpkin is going in S tier. Everybody hates on the pumpkin. I don't know why. This is such a good plant. It's basically a shield for a plant. So it's like a walnut for a plant, essentially. I don't care what anybody says, that is heat. It doesn't have as much health as the tall nut, but still. People need to wake the hell up and see the vision. The pumpkin is goated. The magnet shroom. C tier, only because it takes a long time for the metal object it gets to disappear. Other than that, I would say it's pretty good. Then you just completely get rid of buckets, so, you know, sometimes it does come in clutch for me, though. And World 5 is the roof, and every plant has to go in a pot, and it has to be able to shoot over the roof at the zombies, so World 5 gives you a bunch of catapult plants. And the first one they give you is called the cabbage pult. Now, this plant is pretty much like a pea shooter, but a catapult, so it's going in C tier. It's your general run-of-the-mill plant. Nothing too crazy. There's really nothing too special about it. It just shoots cabbage. In my opinion, the kernel pult is much better. A tier. I feel like with this plant, my only complaint is it doesn't do a lot of damage unless you shoot butter, and that's completely based on chance. Most times it shoots kernels, which only do light damage. If you pair it off with something else, it could be pretty good. Plus, the butter makes the zombies stand still for a while. The coffee bean. This plant's going in D tier. I don't know. I've never really seen myself using this. All it does is it wakes up mushrooms, because the mushroom plants can't be used during the day. And it costs 75 sun. So, I don't know. It's just not worth it. At that point, just why even bother using the mushrooms? The garlic? I'm not really a big fan of it. D tier again. It pretty much just uses hot-ass garlic breath to move zombies to another row. Me, personally, when I'm playing the game, I'd rather have all the rows covered than have, like, a few rows that are lacking and I have to use the garlic. I don't know. Just not the move. The umbrella leaf. B tier. What it does is it just protects plants from certain zombies that take plants, and there's a zombie in that world that just catapults basketballs at your plants. If you bring this plant with you, this dude is gonna have a worse free throw percentage than Shaq. It will protect all the plants in the adjacent area. You know, I'm not trying to lose a bunch of my plants and I have to spend more sun. That shit would always piss me off. The marigold. F. I mean, I don't really see the use for it. If you want to get coins faster, I guess. I don't know. My objective was to just beat the game. I didn't care about that. So I feel like it didn't really help me with anything, so F tier. The watermelon pult. S tier. Once you get a bunch of these down, it's wraps. I mean, they throw watermelons, for God's sake. They do heavy damage, and the watermelons that they throw also damage nearby enemies. So yeah, I would definitely say overall it's an S tier plant. Even though it costs 300 sun, I say it's worth it. The imitator. S tier. I guess I'll technically consider it a plant. You are allowed to use 2 of the same plants. So if there's a slow charging plant you want to use twice, there you go. But there are some plants where the attachments just make them so much better. The Gatling Pea, S tier. Like, this thing is broken. It fires 4 peas at once. If you get a bunch of these on the board, it's over. It's an attachment you have to place on top of a repeater. You have to, like, buy it in the shop, which is just the trunk of Crazy Dave's car for some reason. But we don't talk about that. Next, we have the twin sunflower. I don't know. I'm saying like D tier for this one. I really don't see the use of it. Maybe if there was a very long level where you needed a bunch of sun. I feel like the original sunflower will do. The people that use it, I don't know. You might be doing too much, honestly. The gloom shroom. So you have to place this on a fume shroom for it to work. And it shoots fumes in a bunch of directions. So that just makes the fume shroom like 10 times better. So S tier. The cattail. I'm going to say A tier for this one. This one can only be used in water. It has to be placed on lily pads in order for it to work. But this plant laps the cactus by a mile. It literally tracks down zombies in any lane. If I could use this in more worlds, it would 100% be S tier. The winter melon. Now this one has to be planted on a melon pult. And of course, since the watermelons are frozen, it slows down the zombies. And it costs like 200 to upgrade. But honestly, I'd say S tier for this one. The gold magnet. This one is placed on top of magnet shrooms, and it just collects gold for you. It's kind of like the marigold, but slightly better. But still, I don't know, F tier. I don't really see the reason for using this one. Unless you're really trying to farm gold, then I guess go for it. But next we have the spike rock. Very great upgrade to the spike weed. It does way more damage, but it charges pretty slow. I'll put it in B tier. But are you guys ready for the greatest plant in the game? The Cob Cannon. S tier, no doubt, any day of the week. You have to place the upgrade on top of 2 kernel bolts. And there is no debate. This shit launches a whole fucking ear of corn. It's over for the zombies. And you can pick on the map where you want this thing launched. This shit is unmatched, I gotta say. But yeah, some of you might be wondering, where the hell did I go? Well, I kind of got bored of the content I was making. And I wanted to try different topics, different editing styles, things like that. So let me know what you guys think. Anyways, I'm out.